Hello, everybody. Yes, it is myself, Joe Compton, and
Venessa Giunta, you're pointing the wrong way.
yeah, I don't know, whatever. Welcome to Late Night News, everybody. We've got a really packed show for you. We've got a great show ahead. We're going to break some things down for you, and then we've got a special guest tonight as well. We've got our latest host joining us, a brand new host for Go Indie Now, joining the Go Indie Now family, and they're going to tell us about the show that they're going to be hosting, and we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. And then, of course, we have CL Cannon joining us with the monthly marketing tip, which is a really good one this month. That being said, we have an incredible top story. Obviously, I think if anybody follows our community and knows our community, hello, Anita. Nice to see you. Knows that this was going to be what we were going to talk about tonight. We've talked about it incessantly for a few shows. It's kind of cool that we were kind of ahead of the curve a little bit. But tonight, we're going to break down the Findaway Voices fun that they've put us all through in the last Spotify and Findaway Voices have put us through in the last, couple years, to be honest. But as you'll see by the timeline, I'm going to break down. We're going to go through the timeline. I'm going to take you through the time and show you how everything got to this point and why it got to this point. And then Vanessa's going to take us the rest of the way through and show you the fallout and tell you all about what people are saying, how the response has been, including a response from our government itself. So we've got a lot to go through. So with that being said, let's run through this timeline, shall we? So it all started on that fateful day on June 16th, 2022, when Spotify bought Findaway Voices for $123 million. In that, the Chief Research and Development Officer, Gustav Sunderstrom, said it is Spotify's ambition to be the destination for all things audio, both for listeners and creators. The acquisition of Findaway will accelerate Spotify's presence in the audiobook space and will move us more quickly to meet that ambition. So they had big dreams and big hopes. And then on September 1st, 2022, Findaway Voices takes the opportunity to amend its first terms of usage for the first time, where they added the little known clause as machine learning. This is obviously taken from Apple's. I couldn't find the Spotify one. They've buried it. But it's basically telling everybody that, hey, we have the right to take your stuff and use it to train our AI and use it for third-party usage, which, of course, created an incredible uproar. And that led us to the next part of our time. Actually, did I skip one? Okay, I missed it. So I must have missed one. Sorry about that, everybody. I had another graphic, but I missed it. That would happen on February 3rd of 2023 as part of the ongoing negotiation. Oh, no, I have that one. Where is that one? Live TV, everybody. Woohoo! All right. Hang on. I'm going to load it real quick because I have it. I know I have it.
We need to hire an intern to do the back.
Yes, we do. Anyway, all right. So we'll just do this. On February 23rd, 2023, as part of the ongoing negotiations during the SAG-AFTRA strike, Findaway Voices, after heavy user backlash, along with Apple and Google Books, amended their terms of usage to remove the machine learning clauses from their terms of use. That led us to a very quiet, dormant period for for a little bit until April 22nd of 2023. That's when Spotify's CEO Daniel Elk decided he was going to weigh in on the AI conversation. And during an earnings call, he noted that AI is in the early days an incredibly fast growing space, and it's an exciting technology that he was looking forward to. He was concerned about the copyright, but not concerned enough. He thought that it could be worked around, and that's basically what it's saying here. And the with the uncertainty, he was excited to dabble into it. Gee, I wonder what that led to. So then on February 3rd, there's the one I missed. So I had it all along. All right, so that's the SAG-AFTRA one. All right, this is a nightmare. All right, so then on October 3rd of 2023, that led the Society of Authors to release a list of demands for Spotify and Findaway Voices that they'd like to see to kind of quell the transparency between the AI conversation and the audiobook industry. I won't go through all of them. We covered this back in during this time period. I believe we did this show in November, actually, when we talked about this very thing with Society of Authors. You can go back and watch that show if you want to hear all of their demands. I'll just note that none of them were met. Let's just put it that way, because that all led to where we are now, everybody, which is on February 15th of 2024, the terms of usage was amended again by Findaway Voices. Terms of usage refer to the use of audiobooks for training in connection with the promotion and marketing of the Spotify service. They urged Spotify to make explicitly clear in their terms of use that no works would be used in the development of any type of generative artificial intelligence model or product within the creators, and the confirmation that the terms of usage do not authorize Spotify to use audiobooks to create a new book, ebook, or audiobook, or use user content to create. So basically, what Spotify was doing was telling you, "Hey, we're a third party. You're now part of us. You put your stuff on us. We are allowed to do it and use it any way we'd like to," which of course led to an enormous amount of backlash. And then came not more than 24 hours later, Spotify decided to release the following statement, which reads, come on. Boy, I've just been terrible tonight. Sorry about that. Earlier today, we shared planned updates to our Findaway Voices by Spotify terms of use that were set to take effect in March 15th, 2024. Our goal was to introduce language that would allow us to offer authors innovative features, improve discovery, and provide promotional tools such as shared cards, while assuring authors that you will retain ownership of your user content when you post it to the service. In the hours since, we've received valuable feedback, and we understand that there was confusion and concern about some of the aspects of this language. We want you to know that we hear you, and we are actively working to make clarifying updates to alleviate your concerns. We are deeply committed to your success on Spotify. In the meantime, please stay tuned for more details. Yes,
confusion and concern. Yes, we were confused by the terms of service that said we have an irrevocable license to do whatever we want with your shit. Like, yes, we were very confused. Sorry.
And so that leads us to where we are now and the fallout that has begun. And I'll let Venessa take that on and tell you all about that.
Yes. While both Writer Beware and the Society of Authors applauded Spotify Findaway Voices for their quick responses, they both noted how vague the terms still are. In their statement, the Society of Authors cited their, quote, their terms of use still refer to use of audiobooks for training in connection with the promotion and marketing of the Spotify service. We urge Spotify to make it explicitly clear in their terms of use that no works will be used in the development of any type of generative AI model or product without creators' permission. We are pleased to see confirmation that the terms of use do not authorize Spotify to use audiobooks to create a new book, ebook, or audiobook, or to use user content to create a new machine-generated voice without your permission. And that is all quoted from the new terms of use. However, they go on to say, their wording is too broad. Spotify must reinforce it to make clear it covers all types of derivative works, including, for instance, podcasts. Writer Beware added another concern based on the provisions set forth in these terms of use. For U.S. users, there's a forced arbitration clause. All others are subject to the laws of Sweden, which is Spotify's home country. But in the forced arbitration clause means that when you sign a contract, you are waiving your right to go to court to settle any disputes. And it's a limited window, too. Per the last paragraph of Clause 9, any claim must be brought within 1 year of the act or situation that gave rise to the claim. And there are extensive pre-arbitration requirements that complicate the process. They tried to take, Writer Beware tried to take a look at the payment terms to see if there are changes there, or is that what we did? I think that's what we did. But the link provided in the terms of use goes to a 404 page not found, because of course it did. But here's an interesting part, though. The government has also gotten involved in these terms of use amendments, as the FTC, which is the Federal Trade Commission, this week warned companies that quietly changing their terms of service as a result of the powerful business incentives to turn their user data into AI training fuel could be unfair and deceptive. Quote, companies might be tempted to resolve this conflict by simply changing the terms of their privacy policy so that they are no longer restricted in the ways they can use their customers' data, an FTC blog post said. And to avoid backlash from users who are concerned about their privacy, companies may try to make these changes surreptitiously. But market participants should be on notice that any firm that reneges on its user privacy commitments risks running afoul of the law. Yeah. Thank God. Oh my God, the government's doing a thing. There is an old report from 2017. That likely still holds up. A Deloitte survey of 2,000 consumers in the US found that 91% of people consent to legal terms and services conditions without reading them. We are looking at you right now. For younger people, the survey found the rate for people aged 18 to 34 was even higher, with 97% agreeing to conditions before reading. Bradley Kuhn, a policy fellow at the Software Freedom Conservancy, said at an October 2023 FTC roundtable that, quote, if consumers take anything away from my comments today, I hope they remember to carefully read the terms and conditions of all software platforms they use, as they may have already agreed for their own creative works to become part of the company's machine learning data sets. He added that, quote, I admit it may take you a week to read all those terms, but it's sadly the only way you'll know what rights you've inadvertently given away to big tech. And that's so problematic, right? Like and I'm guilty of it. Like, I don't read all the terms of service. I actually probably read more than normal people because I'm just not normal in that regard. But the other thing is you don't have any way to opt out of any parts of the terms of service, and that's the problem, right? So if Amazon on their KDP terms of use suddenly added that we will be using this for a data set, then you have no recourse. You can't say yes to everything else but no to this thing.
And they don't notify you when they make these changes, which is the big problem that exists with this. Is they could literally say, oh, we just amended one sentence, and 95% of the population would probably go, okay, so I probably don't need to worry about it, right? But that one sentence might be, we get your firstborn, to use for AI. So it could be very well that could be the case. I mean, so yeah, it's problematic. It's an insidious way to kind of sneak things by the consumer, and I think that the Society of Authors has brought up some valid points again and talked about, look, this is great. Hey, you guys were proactive, or reactive more than proactive, and you acted in your best interest because your consumer is your best interest, and you amended what you were trying to do. You made a mistake and you corrected it. But this is happening way too often in case of Findaway Voices, which is why I laid out that timeline to show you that this is not the first time that Findaway Voices has done this. And really, to be fair to Findaway Voices, it's their parent company, Spotify, because Spotify's been doing this to musicians for decades now. They've
Yes.
destroyed their relationship with musicians, and so this is,
Don't
you know,
don't they still have pending litigation? Isn't there
yeah,
still pending litigation? I thought so.
yeah. So it is very concerning, and they what Goodwill Findaway Voices had going into this is slowly deteriorating, if not completely gone by most independent author standards. I don't know if they've lost any of the major public. I would think that the Authors Guild would put pressure on the Big Five if the Big Five said, "Oh, this is no big deal" or whatever. But it really doesn't affect the Big Five all that much anyway. So
But the Big 5 already has their own agreements with
right,
Spotify, so
right.
they're not in any,
And they've
they're not
vetted
in it.
those. You better believe they read those to the final, the T and I dotted. You know, they had
Yes,
their
for
legal
sure.
department going after that.
I I think too, this is, um, I think something that most lay people don't think about when it comes to AI, because this is again a this is an outcome that is because of machine learning, large language models and that sort of thing, because they wouldn't have the incentive to say these things if AI weren't becoming bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, yeah,
So, I think that most people don't think about things like this when they think about, AI. And I'm talking about both like readers or, the general public, as
mm,
well as creatives who have been terrified of this for the last several years since it really broke, big.
yeah,
So, yeah, there's just going to be a lot of fallout from AI. And
yeah.
the problem is, like, I mean, there are a lot of problems, but I think the core problem is that AI is not trustworthy. It's not, it doesn't care, right? People, we like to think they care whether they're stealing something. AI doesn't care, you know?
And the and
So
the and the irony is, we have a story later on that actually AI is helpful in a regard, and it is just that. It is the non-emotional side of things where it is helpful, and it's kind of realizing that AI does have a purpose in this world, but its purpose may not be creatively.
I think that it can be very helpful for creatives. The biggest issue is that they are unethical, like we've talked about before, right? They're at their core. Most AI uh, models are their data is sourced unethically, so they're unethical at their core, and that makes it difficult because I would love to maybe see how I can learn to improve my writing with an AI assist, right? And if I can see, oh, I see how that works now. Okay, let me take that and apply it to my own stuff. But I can't do that ethically. And I have this stupidly inflated sense of ethics, just stupid. But like, I can't do that, you know,
Yeah,
because it goes against my own moral code to take advantage of other people, particularly other creatives,
yeah,
in that way.
yeah. So, uh, we have a huge announcement tonight. We are bringing somebody
We're
into
done
the.
with that story.
No, 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 no. We're going to continue on, but I want to bring that person in here to talk a little bit about if
Yes.
they wanted to be a part of this conversation. So, we do. I just wanted to say that I'm very, very excited to bring this person on board. to be part of our family. You've seen them on our shows before. Uh, she's been a mainstay, and yes, I just spoiled it a little bit. It's a she, and she's been she's an independent author, and I could not have put this idea in a better hands. I'm really super excited to bring aboard uh, our newest host, Miss Juliet Rose. Everybody, say hello to Juliet. Everybody,
Hey
thank
everyone.
Welcome.
thank you first of all for being a part of this and doing this for us and being part of. We'll talk about the show in a little bit, but I wanted to bring you on board to give us some insight outside of the two of us on what you think about what's been going on. And I'm sure you've been looking at this, and as a prolific author who puts out a lot of books, who maybe is wants to dabble in the audiobook world too, how you feel about what Findaway Voices has been doing.
Yeah, so I do have an audiobook, and I used Findaway with my audiobook person to put that out. So I got the terms of service and then the updated terms of service after the reaction from everybody. And it was interesting because I got them, and then I was on Facebook, and immediately, just so many posts about the terms of service and what they meant. And one of the things that struck me initially was, and the two terms have been used, broad and vague. And that was really what I initially said when I read, the initial terms of service. They were broad and vague. And I've worked for a legal department of company, of corporation. I'm very familiar with kind of corporate speak. And that was my concern, was they were really they were gauging, putting it out there, gauging and seeing what kind of reaction they were going to get, to see how far they could push it. Luckily, people flipped out, pushed back, and, at least kind of, for the time being, put them on their mark. However, again, having worked in the corporate world for so many years, this isn't the end of it. They're just going to figure out another way to reintroduce this and push it back out and see. And they'll use terminology. And I think we were talking about, you were saying, like, people don't really read it. I don't think it's that people don't read it. I think it's all that people don't understand what they're reading. They say, okay, they're kind of skimming it, but, we get this with everything we ever sign up for, whether it's a credit card or it's whatever, you get this agreement, you have to click, I agree. And for a lot of people, it's just not something that they really understand what they're necessarily reading. And so it needs to be put into terms that people can understand, and they should have to agree to it. It can't just be like, you tell me what you're going to do with my work. I have to agree to what you're going to do with my work, but I have to understand what you're saying first. And I think that's really, really what we need to start with is, if you're going to change your terms of service, you need to put it out in a way that people can understand, ask questions, kind of like the town hall idea. Like, let's really drill down on this and see what you're actually saying, what rights we have, and then give authors or creatives the ability to pull back.
I agree. I think the problem comes in, though, is that the terms of service are always going to be in legalese. And if they have a page where they say, like, even in their response to the backlash, they're like, oh, we didn't mean we were going to be able to make our own stuff out of your things. It's like, yeah, that's exactly what you meant. We just caught you.
That's the problem with legalese, is it always allows a buffer for the producer, basically, whoever's putting those terms of service out. It allows them a little more leeway. And again, what I was saying is authors may not understand that. Like, they might think, I think I understand what this is saying, but they may not understand really what it means long-term for their creations.
Right. And my concern is that when they do have, because some companies do have, lay people versions, right? But if they assure us that I don't trust corporations, is really what it comes down to. If they assure us that, oh no, what we mean is X, it doesn't mean 5 years down the road. I mean, if it's still encompassed in that phrasing, if they can get away with it, they're gonna try to get away with it, even if when they wrote it, it isn't what they meant.
Absolutely. And the fact is that they can constantly change their TOS. They can keep doing it and then pushing it further and further and further, and that's really where, as a creative, you have to think about your legal rights, because you can initially sign something, it looks good, right? You're like, okay, this is agreeable. But if they keep changing that, in 5 years, all of a sudden what you agreed to doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, and I don't think there's a happy medium or solution that's going to be discovered anytime soon. I do think though that as AI starts to creep more into the conversations and more into the thought processes of corporations, as noted by Mr. Elk there, that uh, they're going to find ways to utilize it because it saves them money in the long run, or it saves them time and makes things happen a lot faster. And so it's a scary it's scary for people who depend on this to be their livelihood, right? And so it's scary for the narrators and producers out there, scary for independent authors who we're finally getting a chance to put audiobooks out there, and yeah, I mean, it almost doesn't make it almost makes ACX's 7 years doesn't seem like that bad of a prison sentence anymore, does it? It's like, okay, cool. I'll spend 7 years. By then, who knows what'll happen? But yeah, I mean, yeah, but I mean, Amazon's not much better. Their transparency is probably even worse than this. So,
Oh, yeah. They don't have transparency. There
yeah,
is no
yeah,
transparency with Amazon. But the thing is, with Amazon, at least you can pay your narrator outright. And
yeah,
if you do that, then you're not necessarily locked into anything as confining, you know?
yeah. Well, I think we've gone through this story pretty well, everybody. Uh, do you mind, Juliet, if we run the monthly marketing tip and then come back and talk about the show? Would that be okay with you?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so let's get CL Cannon involved in our show, and as always, she has a wonderful tip for you all about newsletters. So I'll leave it to her, and we'll be back to talk about our brand new show.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here with another monthly marketing tip. This month,
Oop.
Hey guys, CL Cannon here with another monthly marketing tip. This month I want to talk to you about newsletters. Again, you say? Why, yes, again. You may be sick of me saying it, but I still firmly believe a well-crafted newsletter is one of the best sales tools an author can possess. What more could I say about newsletters? A lot, actually. Today I'm going to be talking to you about the dreaded part of newsletters, the unsubscribes. How to mitigate unsubscribes, why they're not always a bad thing, and what you can do to spruce up your unsub preferences to make that button work in a positive way. Let's get the easy stuff out of the way first. Yes, you really must have an unsubscribe link. It's required by not only the canned spam law, but also GDPR and a slew of other consumer protection laws from various countries. And honestly, it'd be kind of creepy to force someone to stay on your newsletter list if they didn't want to be there. Slow your roll there, Buffalo Bill. Thankfully, almost every EMS provider includes an unsubscribe link in your campaign by default. That being said, and really reiterating the creepy factor of forcing people to stay on your list, do not try to hide this link. Do not make it super small or make it the same color as the background in a tactic to hide it. You're not only being creepy, but you're infecting your list with a slew of angry people and costing yourself more money to keep those folks, on top of being more vulnerable to increased spam complaints. This brings me to my next topic. Unsubscribes are not always a bad thing. Subscribers cost money. And if you're going to be paying to talk to potential readers, you want to make sure that they're actually interested in what you're selling so that one day their interest can convert to a sale, or at the very least a review. Otherwise, these people are dead weight that you're paying for. Don't take unsubscribes personally, because for the most part, that person just wasn't interested enough to stick around, or they've chosen to get info about your books in another way. Let me give you an example. Have you ever gone into a store to find something only to leave empty-handed because what you were searching for, it just wasn't there? Well, it's the same with these subscribers. And we should make leaving the store a better experience for them, rather than hiding the exit, guilt-tripping them, or looking at them like they may have stolen something. So what do I mean by making unsubscribes a pleasant experience? Well, making the process easy is a big part of giving the user a good experience. Those who leave with a good experience are more likely to come back or to check you out on their preferred platform. One way I like to say goodbye to subscribers is to use some humor. And I'm a millennial, so of course there's GIFs. And yes, it's GIFs. I do this with a custom unsubscribe page. Now, not all EMS providers make this so easy. But for those people that are on MailerLite like me, you can change up your unsubscribe page with some important information. Again, I use some humor, a GIF, and also tell them where they can find me outside of my newsletter by listing my socials. In addition to this, I give them the option to move to my new release only group that only gets an email when I have a new book out. Some people just don't like their inboxes filled up, but they still want to know when the really important stuff is happening. So when a user clicks this button, they're moved to a new group and they no longer get my bi-weekly emails, but they are not unsubscribed. They do get taken to my website for a confirmation of their choice, and yes, it does have a Barney Stinson highest of 5s GIF if you want more confirmation of my millennial status. But GIFs aside, if you only give a user one choice, then they have nowhere to go to but away. I think of this kind of like when you go to a store and they give out a rain check for an item that was out of stock. This is a promise that when there is something that the reader wants, then they can be notified and they can come pick it up whenever. Now notice how I don't make the unsubscribe from all emails button smaller. That's because if someone wants to leave, I'm not stopping them. Get out the door, that's fine. And this again, it creates a positive experience. It's really win-win here. Either they stay and they usually buy when I have a new release, or they leave and that's one less sub that I have to pay for, and a new, more interested person will eventually take their place. And the previous person, they might see me again on social media and they might purchase from there, or they may even share one of my posts and they might have a friend who buys it. Another important feature is the resubscribe feature. You can turn this on in your MailerLite account. It just puts a resubscribe button right there on the unsubscribe success page, because sometimes people change their minds, or sometimes we hit the wrong button, or, a cat jumps up on the keyboard. And this makes it easy for them to change their minds without having to hunt down your sign up form and have to re-sign up again. And finally, how can you minimize unsubscribes in the first place? Well, there will always be unsubscribes, but here are some ways that you can cultivate more interest in your content. Don't sell right off the bat or too frequently. If the first thing a reader sees from you is an ad for your book, they're less likely to actually buy it. The same applies to selling too many things in one newsletter, or every single newsletter being really salesy without any basic human sort of connection. Warm up welcome segment is a great way to make the reader feel very valued and let them know about you and what you write without pushing for hard sales. And this is the perfect time to introduce your characters with character art or character profiles, your unique settings, or to give out free lead-in magnets that may have more info about the way that you write and even the world that you're writing in that you hope for them to buy, like the next book in the series. The next thing is ask questions. Readers like to feel like they're a part of something, like their opinion matters to you, and that they're not just a number. I ask a question at the end of each segment of my newsletter, and so that means that there are several different things that a reader can email me back with. This not only increases your relationship with the reader, but it also increases the chances of your next newsletter landing in their inbox because they actually took the time to email you back. So that kind of trains their inbox to say, hey, you are a valued person and they do want to get your emails. The next one is segment your list. Segment your list or group your list so that you can record the behaviors of your readers and their buying and reading habits. You can then use that information to send them only content that's tailored to their reading interests and their buying habits. So if they particularly love this one kind of genre that you write, or if they particularly like these kinds of sales or these kinds of promotions, then you can send to them during those times that you have that sort of promotion or that kind of sale on a certain book. And that is more likely to be opened by them and more likely that they're going to actually click on it and make a sale. And the last point is provide value. I think I've said this a million times. You really have to provide value to keep people on your newsletter list or to keep people just in general in life. You can provide value to readers in many ways that have nothing to do with selling your books. This can be in the form of free excerpts or side stories, giveaways, newsletter swaps with other readers in your genre who are not your competition, by the way, book fairs, reader polls, downloadable content like character art, bookmarks, even quizzes and games offer value. These can all offer value that keep a reader opening your emails until they make the choice to support you financially with a sale or by reviewing your work. So yes, I still had a lot to say about newsletters, and I'm sure I'll have more in the future. I just really like newsletters, and I do think they are one of the best tools an author can have. But I hope today's tip has helped you. And as always, I'm happy to answer any questions you have about today's tip or marketing in general. You can always email me at info@fiction-atlas.com with your questions, or check me out on my websites below. I hope you have a lovely month, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Oh, great
I
tip.
love her stuff. Sorry,
Yes, great.
I get
great
very
tip.
excited.
Absolutely. No problem. Great tips from CL Cannon. As always, newsletters are valuable, and you should treat them as such. And you know what else is valuable, Venessa? Having a new show on Going D now. That's valuable. And we're so fortunate to have Juliet join us for this adventure that we're about to go on. And it's called First Time for Everything. I know that we haven't technically worked out all the kinks and details just yet, Juliet, but do you kind of want to give everybody a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing with this show and what it's about?
Yeah, sure. So I know we've chatted a little bit. I guess we'll figure out kind of the dirty details as we get closer to it. But what I'd like to see is this is a chance for people to share their first. And what I'd like to do is put them on the spot a little bit so they don't necessarily always know what they're coming into. Do like a randomizer, and then whatever comes up, your first whatever shows up, and then they have to explain that. I want to make this fun and for people to really feel like this isn't, a show where they're just having to kind of do those rote questions. I want them to feel like they're coming in and they're going to laugh. And that's my goal is, I have a little bit of a dark sense of humor. You don't always see it, but when you do, you do. So I would really like to kind of let that rule the show a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's very important too for the veterans, people who've done this for a while now, to kind of realize that everybody has a first time for everything, right? Everything, you do something for the first time, and it has a value, it has a meaning. And I think if you look back at that and you reminisce about that, it's not always a bad thing to think about that, right? And because it could trigger something that you might be going through now that might help you get through remembering that time period when everything seems so magical and or so terrible and didn't turn out to be such, right? And so that's going to be, I think it's going to be really important, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see people go through that. And for everybody who's in the chat now, you get the first crack at it. I just posted the link to the sign up, so whoever's there can go ahead and sign up and join us, and join Juliet for the show. And we will be airing the season premiere on Monday, March 25th, immediately following 21 Grams season finale. And then from that point forward, each week after that for the next 11 weeks, Juliet is going to be taking over that slot that 21 Grams was filling at 7 p.m. Eastern and running the show, and to have a different guest on there every week, and it should be a lot of fun. So we're real excited. Thank you so much, Juliet, for agreeing to do this and be a part of this and be a member. I mean, you were always a member of our family. You came on board last year and really helped us out with a lot of stuff, and we're very active here. So we're very happy that you're going to be on the other side of things and leading some people into this great network that we have.
For sure. And I want people to know, no pressure. I don't want people to be scared to come on. I mean, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a tendency to scare people sometimes.
Oh yeah, Joe. Everyone's terrified of you.
You're pretty scary. Yeah.
Well, I opened up the sign up because that sounds like a ton of fun.
So yeah, so everybody can go check that out. And look at that, Tiffany just said I already signed up. All right,
Nice.
Cool. But yeah, we're real excited about it. And yeah, so everybody, March 25th, we're gonna be launching a new show, and then in April, Venessa will be back with conversations, and we'll just be killing it. Everybody will have everything going on. So we're real excited. And then later on tonight, after once we're all done with the news, I'll share with you what's going on for the rest of the week as well. I've got we've got some great shows coming up. So that being said, did you want to stick around, Juliet, or did you? You don't have to if you don't want to. I don't know if we talked about this or not.
You guys stay up too late for me, so I
right.
have an event tomorrow. I'm getting up early.
Yeah,
so
no problem.
I'm gonna go.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us and being here. It was really nice to have you. So thank you.
Yeah, cool thank you so much for being able to talk about the show. I'm really excited about this, and I look forward to seeing what happens.
All right, everybody.
I'm looking forward to it too. Yay!
Right,
excited.
All right.
Oh, it's so fun.
Yes, that should be a great show.
So excited.
All right. Shall we get back to some news? All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about another publishing adventure utilizing AI. Tonight's AI show. It's just all about AI, but
they're all going to be all about AI for a while now, I think. So this, I found this pretty interesting because this wasn't actually on my radar until you pointed it out, and I did some, other reading on it and stuff too. So, all right. A company called Inkit, Inkitt, an app that lets people self-publish stories, and then using AI and data science, it selects what it believes are the most compelling of these to tweak and subsequently distribute and sell on a second app, Galatea. Inkit believes that it can use AI to turn the strongest of these into blockbusters and to build a new Disney for the 21st century around that content. Now it's raised $37 million in aid of that ambition. And I should point out that this is their third round of funding. So it's not like that's the beginning. This is kind of the middle. The company is leading an effort to create a book market, which it calls reader-driven, using AI to create fiction based on users' prompts and ideas. Writers can upload their manuscripts directly into Inkit to grow a following around their work, with the goal of being offered a publishing contract by Inkit's sister app, Galatea. Dale Patterson, author and owner of publishing house and record label Cult Never Dies, stated that AI was already having a tangible impact on creatives as companies are beginning to turn to AI rather than hiring musicians or artists to save costs. Same with writers, of course. Quote, right now, that is a false economy because AI art is still recognizable and leads to criticism online. And more importantly, already looks so dated that the designs won't be sought after for use on merchandise and so on, he stated. The theory behind the Inkit model to predict bestsellers using algorithms. That's what we all want, right? To be able to predict bestsellers. The compelling draw to Inkit outside of the analytics model was the novel contest that they were hosting. And we're going to be talking about like last year's, but this has actually been going on for quite a while. You had until the middle of December to upload your novel, where they'd make 100 copies available for download, and the winners, as determined by their predictive engine, would get book deals. Quote, they took away the contest entirely. If you go to the site now, there's no mention of a contest anywhere. That's not entirely true. I was just at the website and there is mention of contests, but the contests now look like they are, they look like they're user driven maybe. Mm-hmm. At any rate, to go on with the quote, posting your novel on Inkit has become nebulous and undefined, a perpetual slush war with every other aspiring novel on the site. So there were no download limits, no contest, and no real progress on collected data, and all this within the very limited scope of 2 months, said contestant participant James Beeman on his blog. There are a few blogs like this out there when we searched for blogs about Inkit experiences. However, Writer Beware gave the site a vote of semi-confidence in confirming its belief that it's not a scam or has ill intentions, but warns that's why authors need to do their due diligence. Recently, the company was named by Financial Times the #1 fastest growing company in Germany and #8 in all of Europe in their widely respected FT 1000 annual ranking. Inkit was founded in 2013 by Ali Albazas and is headquartered in San Francisco with the ambition to democratize publishing by putting the decision in the reader's hands. In March 2023, Inkit was named by Financial Times one of the fastest growing companies in the world. The mission is simple: to help aspiring writers find an audience for their work and kickstart their careers. By analyzing reader behavior, Inkitt can predict future bestsellers. If readers love it, Inkitt publishes it. In 2016, Inkitt made history by selling the first AI-predicted bestseller, Aaron Swan's Bright Star, to Tor Books, an imprint of Macmillan. And we'll see where this takes them and how, if any way, this changes publishing strategy. The thing I find interesting, like, I don't think it's a scam, but the other thing is it says the mission is to help aspiring writers find an audience. That isn't their actual mission, because aspiring audiences, there are basically it feels very much like a Patreon without without Patreon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You put or even any of the fanfic sites like and well, I don't think you could make money on the fanfic sites, but like things like Amazon Vella or Wattpad, or what's the other one? Like something Road. No, not Silk Road. That was a dark
I don't know.
dark web thing. But anyway, all these places where you can upload your work. Now, I think the AI component, that's new.
Mhm.
That's new. And I feel like that might be interesting for authors.
If I remember correctly, Tor took a lot of shit for bringing this book onto their to Macmillan and putting it out there, and they labeled it as the first AI book. If I remember correctly, they were marketing it that way, and people lost their shit over it.
But
And
it wasn't written. It wasn't AI written,
no,
right? It was
no,
it
it
was
was
just predicted by AI.
correct. Yeah, yeah. And I don't know about the cover aspect of everything in it. It's that either. So I don't know if the artistry was that a part of that as well. But regardless, I'm just gonna say what it was in the back of my head when I read this, and it's like we're finding new ways to kind of become vanity presses in a lot of respects, and it feels like that. It feels slimy like that, even though it's not. And I get Mr. Enze's whatever his goal is, his vision is for this. I understand that, and it seems like it's a legitimate goal for that, for at least for his mind and his thought process. But I mean, it just seems like it's like having a literary agent that really doesn't have any connections, kind of, you
Which
know.
is a scam, right? The other thing about this too, though, is like what we were just talking about. So I haven't looked at their terms of service, but are all these stories that are up on their site, because you can now just upload, or you
Mhm,
can write like chapter at a time, in the same way that you would do on Vella or whatever.
mhm.
But like I will bet you that there's a clause in their terms of service about how they're going to use your book that you either upload or write on the site for a not just the algorithm AI, not just the predictive AI, but they're going to be harvesting your words.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of that in my thought process as well. That was something I was thinking about as well, because obviously we were doing all these stories together, and it was kind of like, well, they kind of all mesh together in that respect. They're all kind of aiming at that one aspect of it. Is like the bottom line is, and I think that Writer Beware nailed it right on top of the head. Right? Is look, do your due diligence. If this is something you think is going to benefit you and you want to try it, there's thousands of blogs out there, and not all of them are negative. I will say that I've read a couple positive ones that had a really great experience with Inkit. Uh, Anita
I
said
think
she
it
did
comes
not,
down
but
to I think it comes down to how well the author can get people to read their stuff.
mhm,
Oh, Anita left Inkit after heard about there wasn't there much anyway. Yeah, I think it's just like all the other places that are basically popularity models in
yeah,
terms of how the authors get paid. Because I was trying to find how they get paid, how authors get paid, and they don't have it on any outside
Gee,
page, but I did find somewhere else that outlined that it was actually in one of their blog posts that inked it. You get 100% of your profit. I guess people can subscribe to your stuff at minus processing fees, like credit card processing, right? But again, that comes down to, it's no different than Patreon then,
yeah.
right? It's like you can do that exact same thing on Patreon. And Patreon has, it can be argued, has a significantly bigger user base, but not everybody on Patreon are readers, and everybody on Inkit will be readers. So I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know.
interesting.
It's hard to, it's becoming so much, like, it's becoming so hard to navigate and to know, because it's like AI is not going anywhere. As creatives, we are going to have to figure out how to live with it. We're good. Like, we can sit here and scream at the top of our lungs for the rest of our lives how horrible it is. That's not going to change the corporation's use of it at all. Even this terms of service thing, you can argue that it was like how fast Spotify changed course.
Mm.
That can indicate that this is exactly what they wanted to happen. Like, the new terms of service aren't that much better than the old terms of service, so they put out this horrible one so that people go, oh, shoo, they're not taking as many of my rights, right? So, like, the corporations are still going to be doing this. We have to figure out a way. We're going to have to live side by side with this. And I don't know how that's going to shake out.
People always ask me, well, they don't always ask me, but I've been asked before, you know, uh, you doing this show with Vanessa, when we decided to do this show together, uh, what it's like to have a magical connection like the two of us have. And it's because of what she just did, which is she just led you all into the next story without inadvertently, not because we're so on the same page. And actually, I have a semi positive story about AI that I'm going to share with you all right now, and it involves independent film. But I think for independent authors out there, this is something that you can look at and understand that this might be an opportunity for you, And so there's been a few articles out there that I've been reading lately, because I'm getting back into film and putting films out there, and so the marketing aspect of things is very interesting to me. And talking to filmmakers like I have, incessantly for the last couple months, because I was at Park City, and we, just networking with other filmmakers, and the algorithms and the ad blocking structures that make it so hard for films to advertise on social media, because a lot of these filmmakers are making these deep rooted subject matter, or being avant-garde, or have a little bit of nudity, or have some political leaning toward what they're trying to say, and those things are no nos for Facebook and Instagram, especially Twitter now as well, and or X or whatever.
Well, I don't know. You can put anything on Twitter, honestly.
You still, but I
I
mean,
mean, I don't know
yeah,
about Twitter ads, but you can put anything on Twitter. There's freaking porn on Twitter. So,
fair enough, fair enough,
anyway,
fair
yeah,
enough.
you may get all the Nazis coming out wanting to bash you in the head, but you can put it on there. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And so when you're an independent and when you're an indie film trying to swim amongst the wave of thousands of ad dollars with little or no ad budget, and you're a film that has a topic that is deemed by a computer algorithm as offensive or sensitive, then you won't be able to utilize the valuable spaces where most of these users exist and interact on a daily basis. And thus you get shoved into an abyss. Uh, a specific example of that is a film that was on my top 10 list that I found just by looking at other top 10 lists and going through Amazon, and that's called Divinity. It's a film that starred Stephen Dorff, and it's very graphic in nature and interesting. It's a great film. But they had a ton of problems promoting it, and Amazon wouldn't allow them on there unless they made some tweaks to the film, which was very interesting on how, again, it's what do you sacrifice your art for, right? To be seen, and how far do you go with that? We are talking about heavy-handed subject matters. We're talking about political chatter and exposures, and they have their own uphill climb to make anyway. Uh, but we're not just talking about those. We're talking about run-of-the-mill action thrillers, satirical comedies, avant-garde art house films, and splatter and psychological horror films. These have all felt this algorithm ad blocking aspect of what is going on. And they don't have, because algorithms have no differentiators. They don't have feelings. They blanket their sites, and whether you believe that it's a necessary evil that keeps it more bad out than good, or that it's lazy programming, or the fact that these sites can't keep a workforce flowing because their first inclination is to fire humans rather than scale down the amenities or cost cutting. This is an ongoing issue that has kept a lot of important art out of the public eye, and hard to find and hard to view it. So, for those who don't know, most major and mid level studios with a production office in the hundreds all employ digital content creators. They all have a dedicated segment of their marketing team that adjusts to the algorithms, promotes with their budgets that are more than some indie film's entire scale budget alone. So, where do indies, go? How do they figure this out? Well, this is one of those times when generative AI can be used for a positive experience. Places like GPT and other companies are developing AI software that all have models in which an indie, for a monthly or yearly subscription cost, a very minimal fee for them, can utilize this software to not just find sweet spots within the algorithm that would gain them the most eyeballs, but also utilize these tools to find out where in which part of their, because when you put this to find out which part of the trailer or the film itself is offensive to the algorithm, right? Because when you put these up there, you're guessing. You're trying to, what you end up doing, you put it up there, you get flagged, you take it down. They don't tell you where the offense really occurs unless you're on YouTube. YouTube does that. But other than YouTube, I've not experienced that. Facebook just says no, it just violates our terms of agreement. So they just take it down. And so then you're stuck with, trying to play this game of, cutting paste, figuring out where the little part of the offensiveness is to pass the algorithm, right? And you get to this point where you're just like, fuck it, I'm not even going to put it up there. And you can appeal, and the appeal process takes forever. It's like, it's like being in the U.S. court system. They treat it the same way. So these softwares have engines designed within them that will allow you to figure out where that point is, that you could decide to trim it out, you could decide to change it, put a different picture in there, whatever it takes to get it past the algorithm, right? And they have these tools that are designed to help you push through the algorithm. Now, they only have a 70 to 80% success rate right now, which is, again, something we've been talking about. AI is just not ready for the world. I mean, it's just not reliable enough for us to utilize tools like this. But, if you're an author out there aiming your ads, or, a filmmaker looking to get their trailer out on Meta or IG or Twitter, this tool might become a necessary part of your everyday existence, because like I said, it's a nominal fee. It's a small fee that you would pay versus trying to hire somebody who does that for a living and pay, you're paying an hourly rate. So there is some good things that it can do. So,
And 70 to 80% is still way faster than just throwing stuff at the wall and trying to see if it sticks,
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that I actually talked to a couple filmmakers who I asked them if they've looked at Chat GPT, and or at anything, and for that utilized tool, right? And they haven't, but one said that was interesting when I sent them the article, and that they might try it and see what happens. And maybe I'd said, if you do, let me know. So maybe we'll get some firsthand experience on what it does do for you, and see if that works. And so I think why I wanted to end it with this, obviously because we've just been shitting all over AI, and rightfully so, all night long, and for months and months and a year now, basically a year and a half now. Uh, I think this is an illustration of where I think I am with my own personal feelings about it, right? And that is that there's got to be a happy line, that this is not going away. That there's a utilization that we can all do to kind of utilize it in a manner that helps us, and not, you know, creatively. I don't think it has any purpose. I don't think creatively. I think it's just going to deteriorate creativity if it continues to do what it's trying to do with that. But I do think that analytically wise, numbers wise, things that don't have emotion behind them, and don't have feeling, and don't have interpretation, AI can
Yeah.
be valuable. You know,
Yeah, a lot of my author friends are using AI to help them write marketing blurbs, back of cover blurbs, or, marketing phrases to put in ads and things like that, you know? So,
gee, you want me to put this up here, Jay? I don't even know if you really want me
do
to.
it. He put
As
it in the chat.
I continue shitting on AI, my pals are ready. It's not going
Please.
away, and you have to take it as a challenge to up your game. And we're going to see plenty of
Mhm.
hacks. Yeah, absolutely. And
I
that's
do
the
think
thing.
I do think what Inkit is doing is interesting, and that would be a way that I would want to use AI privately. Like, having an idea and just like getting the AI thing going, you know. I'll bet it's horror.
No,
It sounds
he
like
writes
horror.
he writes science fiction, and you want to know why? Again, a perfect way to segue into this, because Mr. Dennis M. Myers is going to be my guest on 21 Grams tomorrow,
Yes.
on Monday night. So, everybody, you'll learn about his automated empire and what it's about and everything. And Mr. Myers, like myself, is a veteran. So we'll talk a little bit about the military aspect of things too. But that'll happen on Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So that'll be great. And then this Sunday we have This Week in Indies. We're going to talk about we're going to get a little contentious, I think, because we're going to talk about, do genres even matter anymore? Are readers interested in genres? Because are we just blending it to blend it now? Are we? Is it becoming just kind of like, you know trendy to do blends?
Romance is taking over everything. Everything is just going to be a version of romance.
So we're going to talk about that, and with our great panel that you see there, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we had if you missed it earlier, Miss Juliet Rose is going to be hosting a brand new show for us called First Time for Everything. Well, I'm going to be talking about Juliet in a different light, because I'm almost done with her book, her brand new novel, which is called by the Dimming Light. And I have some things to say about it, and we'll talk about it on Touch of Evil, or Touch of Evil, Jesus, Touch of Indie. Uh, I promise you, I'm not evil. Touch of Indie. My review, I'll put out a review of that. We've got more reviews coming. I'm talking to JD about some more music that we're going to be reviewing, and that out there. So we're really getting out there, and there there will be rants on Sunday, possibly about romance. Yeah.
Ain't
And
nothing wrong with romance, but it is
so,
taking over the world.
what a great segue! Yes, and woot woot. Ha, honey.
Let's go.
But yeah, so I hope everybody, you know, just keep an eye on your terms of use, especially when it comes to Findaway Voices. If you're going to be a part of them, it is very scary out there for those kind of things, because who knows what laws they can put out there. But trust me, this is not the end of it. and we're going to be talking about it probably for the entire year. There'll be more to come, I'm sure. And I think though we've gone through everything. You feel good about everything, Vanessa?
I mean, I feel like the end of the world is coming, but I guess we're okay for now.
Claus. All right. Well, do you want to say the magic words for us, please?
Well, you know, Joe, it's always time to go indie now.
Bye, everybody.